Hello and welcome to the Ragnarok review. I'm James Armstrong doing a special Better Than B, just a quickie review of Thor Ragnarok since we haven't done Better Than B in a long time and I thought I would finally pitch in. Just going right into it, this movie is definitely better than a B movie, no doubt about it. It's a lot of fun, a good popcorn flick, and definitely doing well at the box office. It was forecasted to make between like 100 million and 110 million on opening weekend. It ended up getting over that to 121 million, so good for Marvel. They got another one. And so, let's see. I'm going to admit my bias off the bat here. If you watch our Fourth Friday shows, you know that I am a DC guy. I'm a Batman fan first and foremost. Then a DC guy second. So I'm not as attached to these characters as a lot of people are, but still want to give them a fair critique. So going into this movie, I thought to myself, you know, this will be a Marvel movie, in the Marvel way of it being an action comedy. And as soon as the post-credits scene rolled and I was leaving the theater, I thought to myself, yeah, that was a Marvel movie. But it was one that I'm very happy about because it'll introduce a new generation to Led Zeppelin. If you saw the trailer, you did see that they played the Immigrant Song. You will not be let down. They do feature the Immigrant Song twice in the movie, and it was used very appropriately. It also had a pretty damn good Dallas Cowboys joke that I was quite happy about. Not going to give it away. But if you're a fan of the team, I think you'll get a kick out of it. Let's see. Going right into, again, as non-spoilery as possible, going into my likes. I mentioned the action already. Plenty of good fight scenes. Quite enjoyable. No problem there. They picked up on the Thor-Loki relationship and really built upon what had been done before. I liked what they did with those two characters. No complaints about both Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston in their respective roles as Thor and Loki. All good in that department. There's a very random reference to Willy Wonka, which I'm not going to give away, but just want y'all to be prepared, if you haven't seen the movie, to be prepared and just keep your ears open for that exact part of the film. That was pretty cool and not something you would expect. Let's see. Tessa Thompson, definitely a standout in this movie. Going into the film, a lot of people were talking up her as Valkyrie, as being someone who kind of stole the show in the movie. I still think it was primarily Chris Hemsworth who got the center of attention. It is his franchise. But Tessa Thompson, yeah, great introduction, great material given to her. And yeah, there were moments of the movie where I was watching her perform on the big screen. And again, not giving too much away, but there were moments where I was just watching her literally chug an entire jug of whiskey and think, yeah, I'm in love. So, mega kudos to her. Cate Blanchett was great as Hela. I always get confused between Hela and Helena, but Hela, the goddess of death, the main antagonist of the movie. Cate Blanchett obviously enjoyed making this movie and just did a good job with what she was given. I'll mention more on that later. They also flesh out more of Asgard's history in this movie. Very happy that they did that. The previous two movies, too much of those films, both Thor and Thor the Dark World, were told from the perspective of the, I guess, royal family of Asgard, Thor and his parents and Loki. We never saw any of the citizens of Asgard, and that's always something that bothered me tremendously. I do think it's important that you just not have a movie solely based on palace intrigue. You really should take a moment to see what the people are doing when there's not some crisis going on. And this movie did deliver on that, and also did a little bit of, again, not trying to spoil anything, but they did go into some of Asgardian history and flesh that out a little bit more, and that I really appreciated. So all in all, I would say that Thor Ragnarok is on par with Doctor Strange. It was a very concise story. It told the story that didn't require multiple viewings. If you watched it once, aside from going back again to catch more Easter eggs, you got the story. It's not like Inception or Batman v Superman where you'd probably have to go back and catch something that you might have missed. So that's all well and good. Moving on to my dislikes. The first 20 minutes of this movie really felt like a mess. There were a few bombshell revelations that are not given any time to sink in, or are delivered in a way that makes it sound like, no big deal, this is happening. That I felt like they were just trying to rush into the gladiator planet stuff as soon as possible, and so one sacrifice that had to be made was just catching up on these characters where we left them off from Thor: The Dark World, and I thought it felt a little rushed altogether, but then again, the payoff later on is worth it. Got that done. There's also, and again, if you watch our channel, you know I've mentioned this before, there also was a moment early on in the film where Thor has apparently planned to get caught so he can beat a particular villain. If y'all could stop doing that, that'd be great. Getting planned to get caught was cool when it was in The Dark Knight. That does not mean that it's going to be cool when the villain in Dark Knight Rises plans on getting caught, or when Silva from Skyfall plans on getting caught, or when Loki in the Avengers plans to get caught. Just stop planning to get caught. That particular move has been done over and over again. It's lost its impact. Just please stop. There were some parts that were featured prominently in the trailer that looked really cool. Again, for the sake of this being a non-spoiler review, I'm not going to get into details about it, but I thought I wanted to see more of one particular sequence, but it really was just treated as a flashback in the movie, and it wasn't really expanded on very much, even though it had potential. You know, say what you will about Batman v Superman, but I love how the nightmare sequence was not just some cool shot that they tossed in to be featured for 30 seconds to a minute in the movie. It actually was an extended action sequence and was just a thrill to watch. This one particular part of Thor Ragnarok just could have been expanded upon a lot more and would have made for some trippy 3D action sequence that I think would have blown audiences away. I would chalk this up as a failed opportunity for that one scene. And even though Cate Blanchett was great with what she was given, I still think that Marvel has a villain problem where the villain's motives are pretty black and white. They're just presented as pure evil. Not much else to go on there. Yeah, kind of wish that Cate Blanchett had been given more to do. Although, you know, maybe we'll be seeing more of her character, and at a later date, say a year from now, after the Avengers Infinity War comes out, maybe I'll be eating my own words on that one, and I'll be the first to admit when I am wrong. Finally, there is the topic of humor. People say, myself included in the past, have said that Marvel maybe lays the humor on a little too thick. And I did go back and rewatch Guardians of the Galaxy after I saw Thor Ragnarok, and I do think that as far as like jokes per capita, if that's a term I could use, that Thor Ragnarok definitely has more jokes going on than any of the more recent Marvel movies, Guardians of the Galaxy included. I feel like in Guardians, they paced out the jokes enough so that when they were spoken or when they played out, they had more of an impact. Here, there were some jokes in Ragnarok where it was borderline slapstick. I saw the jokes coming from a mile away, and not all of them were a hit. Some of them were a really hard miss. But, you know, as Johnny Carson once said, it's harder to make people laugh than it is to make them to think. So humor is always a difficult balancing act, and the humor was not distracting. It definitely fit in with the tone and the feel of the movie. So at this point, when it comes to complaining about humor in a Marvel movie, it's an overwhelmingly uphill battle. You might as well, as the saying goes, you know, stand at the base of a waterfall and try to fight the water back. You're not going to win. Marvel movies are always going to, or from now on, are going to prioritize the humor over any substantive drama. That's just the way it is, and I've gotten used to it, which is why I just characterize some films as being a Marvel movie with all the entrapments that go along with it. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents. Feel free to comment, and don't forget to subscribe and share. And we look forward to seeing you guys on 4th Friday again. In the meantime, see you all at the movies.